Is Google Pixel changing the budget smartphone game? What's up guys, Ben here from Authentic, and Google just announced their new Pixel 3a. We're not sure what the A actually stands for. It might be affordable. Anyway, moving on. It's a much more budget-friendly phone with a price tag of just $400. Compare that to their flagship Pixel 3, which was just released about 7 months ago. It's priced at $800, literally double the price. So, are you getting double the specs and features? Today we're gonna find out. Huge thanks to Google for sending me over the Pixel 3a. So there's about 3 main pillars to every phone: camera, features, and specs. I think camera is often the most important thing, so let's start with the camera. I went out and snapped some photos and videos just this week and was really impressed so far. Often on a budget phone, it's the camera where they really cut corners to save money. Well, Google was smart and they kept in a really good camera, almost the exact same as their main Pixel 3. All that AI processing produces some splendid results. Also, make sure you stick around for my next video coming up very soon, as I'm going to do a deep dive camera comparison test of the Pixel 3 versus the new 3a. See how they stack up. Also, I might compare it to the XR and other phones. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now on the 3a, we can still record in 4K 30 FPS and some of the footage looks really good. But then sometimes I notice a bit of color shifting going on. Plus, that field of view narrowed down quite a bit, which I don't love. Also, in certain lighting conditions, the HDR wasn't doing a fantastic job, but this is all in comparison to my favorite video shooter, which is the iPhone XS right now. It's the best on the market, even MKB agreed, but it's sort of unfair due to the massive price difference. Now, it can also shoot in slow motion, both at 1080p 120 FPS or 720p up to 240 FPS. Here's what those look like. The camera also features that magical Google Night Sight mode, which basically gives you really impressive details and colors in almost pitch black darkness. And when I snapped a few samples here, I thought it did a great job. There's a nice time-lapse mode that's new, and I might need to do a full camera in-depth testing here, try out stabilization and see how it performs with maybe hyperlapse movements. However, I love that they finally baked this mode right into the camera, plus they make it easy to set up a few different interval settings from 1x up to 120 times speed up. This one was shot at 5x for about 15 minutes. Portrait mode is still here and it works pretty dang good. For a single lens budget tier phone, it does well. They still included that super res zoom, which for a single camera lens, a digitally zoomed image, it looks really good. It also includes Google's magical HDR mode, which again, it does so much processing on these images. It's incredible how much they can achieve out of this single rear camera. On the front-facing camera, though there's no secondary ultra-wide lens like we see on the Pixel 3 flagships, it still is able to snap some really great looking shots. There's unlimited high-quality image backup to Google Photos. Overall, on the camera, we gotta remember, for an affordable tier phone, Google did a fantastic job all around, and it might be the best budget phone camera out right now. We can cover more on that later. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram for all my behind the scenes, and make sure you stick around for all my phone comparisons versus the 3a coming very soon. On that note of comparing versus other phones like the iPhone and Samsung, they tried a budget-friendly mid-tier phones, but let's compare pricing. The Pixel 3a is at $400. The iPhone XR is $750 with an LCD screen. I don't even think it's 1080p. Samsung Galaxy S10e, it's a $750 base model price. So keeping all that in mind with pricing, the 3a is hitting a really sweet spot. Now moving on to key features, I love that it still maintains almost all the sweet features that we find on that flagship Pixel 3, like squeeze the sides for a Google Assistant shortcut. And if you forgot, we can do a ton with Google way over Siri and Alexa, like send text, find answers to any question, Google Maps navigation, control your smart home tech, and so much more. There's call screening to find out who's calling and why. With just a tab, we can watch real-time transcription of their responses and determine if it's worth your time to answer. This is super fun and helpful. Flip the Pixel over to activate Shh mode with lots more digital well-being. Also, if you've ever held a Pixel 3, it just feels so balanced and perfect, comfortable to hold in hand. I really like the size and shape. Now speaking of, let's compare specs. I've been using the 3A for almost a week now, and I've been really surprised and impressed that there's been no major hiccups or lags or anything. It feels just as fast, basically the same as the Pixel 3 and other flagships I use. Sure, the difficult thing to determine now is long-term usage. After 1, 2, or maybe even more years, how is it going to hold up, especially for those mid-end specs? Well, being a Pixel, we can have some extra confidence that you're going to get the latest updates directly from Google, and they give a promise for up to 3 years. That's very sweet. Only time will tell if those internal specs will bog down over the years. So again, the Pixel 3a is actually very similar to the main Pixel 3 with just a few key differences. The 3a has that slower Snapdragon 670, while the 3 has the 845. It's still good enough, just not the best of the best out there, but this is an easy way to lower the price tag. They both have the same RAM at 4 GB, and they each have the same base storage, 64 gigs, though there's no option to expand upwards on the 3a. Instead of Gorilla Glass, they use something called Dragon Trail Glass. Only time will tell to see how it holds up, but it feels really good right now. That OLED display is fantastic for a budget phone. It turns up bright, vivid colors, nice white balance and accuracy. Even the resolution is almost the exact same as the Pixel 3, Full HD Plus at 441 ppi. Now on a side note of the display, sure there's a forehead and a chin at the top and bottom, but after using this phone for almost a week, I'd honestly consider this over a notch. With 0 cutouts into my screen, having that front-facing speaker firing right at me for semi-stereo sound. I know I'm not alone when I say the race towards a totally bezel-less screen. Sure, it looks nice, but there's plenty of shortcomings and trade-offs that we're leaving behind. I appreciate phones like the Pixel 3a that are still being made. There's no wireless charging, sadly, and no official IP68 water or dust resistance rating, but these are just those small, easy ways to save money and cut down the costs. Now, yes, there is a headphone jack, and what a joke that is that that's now a feature on budget phones. The camera specs are nearly the same on both. They each have 12 megapixels on the rear, 8 megapixels on the front selfie cam, though again, it doesn't have that secondary wide angle lens. Funny enough, the 3a has a slightly larger battery than the Pixel 3 at 3000 milliamp hours versus 2915. Google says battery life can last up to 30 hours on a full charge, and even though it doesn't have the wireless charging, it still supports fast charging, so a 15-minute charge can deliver 7 hours of usage. Okay, so all in all, this seriously might be the very best budget phone you can buy this year in 2019. Now we still have half a year left, but so far, I'd say Google knocked it out of the park with this Pixel 3a, especially for the camera, performance, battery life, and display. It's packed with features at the affordable price tag of just $399. If you want to check out more info, all the links will be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.